Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek.net game server. This will be an update for the Enterprise D build. Quite a bit's been done on the build since the last update. Today is February 10th, I believe. I'm on the server pretty much by myself. A couple of other people on just touring stuff around. Spent a lot of time recontouring some of the corridors on decks 5, 6, 7, and we just imported deck 8 over to the actual build proper. We also did a lot of changes, some of these upper decks and stuff. I'll kind of show you here as we go along. This right here, this entire gangway system had to be moved back and over in order to accommodate a double wall. And then once this was all said and done, major change occurred over on the stack, over on the proper build, which hasn't been imported yet to the stack. So, yeah, that just happened last night. But what we did is yesterday M. Heller was on and she was pointed out that we needed a corridor through this route here. And beforehand I ran a Jeffries tube up through here and the corridor stopped right here. So what we did is we just extended the corridor, made it come all the way around over here, and then we moved the Jeffries tube from right here to right here, and then it follows this up through here and still connects to the upper part here. So that's one of the main changes that we've done with the decking. And the other change, it hasn't been implemented over here yet, but it was one that iPanic did concerning lifts. So these will no longer be lifts. These will be the lifts, and we had to build accommodate for the change, which was done. So we're pretty happy about it. At least I hope we are. I mean, because what'll happen is all of this area down here on this side, all of this that I've spent days, weeks, whatever, working on, is being changed. So this is now a viewing area. This corridor is still there. I added this corridor a while back when I was working on deck, this is before 5, this is deck 6. When I was working on deck 6, I realized that, yeah, we needed a way to get from this area to the ship itself, into the ship itself. So I put this corridor in. It kind of looks funky, but you won't really see all this funkiness, you know, how it kind of bends around and stuff like that, once the walls are in. And this way here, as you well know, is the hydroponics bay, and I'm not a big fan of the hydroponics bay, and evidently neither was anybody else. Surprise! So this big orange area here, which was listed as batteries, which is now a lift. So this whole section here is been repurposed as a lift and lift support. And I'll show it to you here in just a second what's going on over there. Trying to bring you up to date, because I have recorded this episode like half a dozen times, and I always end up getting distracted or off on a tangent. And when I go back to look at the footage, it's easier to re-record than try to edit all that together. But I've been working over here quite heavily on these decks 5 and 6, which are now in the ship, and now they have to be because there were changes made, re-brought over here again, and which I will do. Now, this area here, we went ahead and set it aside for the physical storage of gases to create water, and like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, that kind of stuff. And then over here will be additional storage for things to create deuterium and heavy water, which I guess is deuterium. So that's one thing. I noticed there's still sand here, but I'll go ahead and get rid of that. Don't worry about it. It was from when I recontoured all these deckings. I spent, I'd say 3 days working off of an idea that Blue Phobes had dropped in, saying that these lines aren't looking really good, and we needed to adjust them. And we kind of milled it around, and I came up with a way to give them the justice they deserved. And I spent 3 days working on it. And what initially started it off was this right here. This section through here was really it looked like, just didn't look good. This Jeffries tube through here. And I couldn't get these pods, these lifeboats, to clear it. And I was getting frustrated by it. And I finally decided, you know what, if I change this, I'm going to change all the decks above it, and then I'm going to line them all the way down through to deck 7 and then down to deck 8. So what we did, what I did, is I went through and I recontoured. This is a large section right here for crew quarters. Again, don't mind these gaps and stuff because sometimes the decks are lower or higher depending on where they are over there in the ship proper. So the deck stack isn't, indicative of the actual spacing for the decks in the ship. But I went through and I recontoured all of this through here, and that means I adjusted all of the stuff on the deck above it, and this right here actually got moved, so they're no longer in a line. What we did discover is that the hull itself isn't symmetric. While the deck plans themselves are, we can't keep them symmetric using the current hull. And we can't change the hull because the reason it's not symmetric is an issue with Minecraft, and you can't get around it. If we were to make the hull look symmetric, it would look artificial. It wouldn't have the flow or the feel that it needs to have. And believe me, we've tried. So some of these things have been, instead of being in perfect alignment, basically what I mean by symmetric is you can take the front here, fold, if it was on a piece of paper, fold it in half right down the center, and all these lines would be perfectly aligned with each other. This little diamond shape here would be perfectly matched with the diamond shape up here, and all the quarter lines would all be perfect and everything else. Well, we can't do that, unfortunately, because if you were to take the hull and put it on a piece of paper and fold it in half, what you'd find out is that one section is slightly larger than the other. So basically what you would do is if you were to fold it, you would fold it short. And that affects so much of this build, and I'll show you that here in a second where we really are running into it. But anyways, I did redo these contouring here, and I did drop it down onto deck 8 here, or no, excuse me, this is deck 6, this is deck 7, and I spent a long time, oh gosh, 4 days, 5 days working on this deck, just trying to get these to look really nice through here. And somebody's been on here actually working on it, which, it's kind of cool because it gives you the depth and the dimensions and stuff like that. But overall, it doesn't really need to be worked on here. You can work on it when we get over there in the stack. But if you want to work on it here, it's fine, as long as you don't make any actual physical changes. And keep in mind that things get changed. Hopefully nothing here will get changed, but you never know. But in doing this, I was able to go ahead, I went ahead and filled in all these lifeboats. And these are placed as well as I could place them, eyeballing the images and trying to keep the hull in place and everything else. There is no wiggle room. I've used it all up, and yeah, so no more wiggle room on these. These are going to be where they're at, and that's the way it is, unfortunately. And if they don't line up on the hull or make the hull look a little off, then I guess we'll just have to figure something else out. Maybe instead of shooting straight up, they shoot out at an angle. I have no idea. We'll figure something out. But I went through, and I didn't do it here, but this whole area here should be filled in with a block like light gray or wool or something, just so that you don't have this space above it. It will be done. If it isn't already done on the ship proper, I'll do it here, and then I'll re-import the hull, or excuse me, the deck over here and fill it, and then put it back over there. Now here's deck. I don't think this is deck. I think this is still deck 7. So, or is this deck 8? What deck is this? We'll find out here real quick. I keep getting lost on these things. So that's deck 7, and this is deck 8. Deck 8 is a bit more complex. It has part of the grotto in it, of course, so does deck 7, but it also has the theater. And we well know that the theater is above 10 forward. And in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation from 20 years or so ago, 22, 23 years ago, there's a scene where Geordi LaForge and Ensign Rowe have to knock out Data, Troy, and O'Brien, who are taking hostages in 10 forward. In order to do that, they had to crawl through a Jeffries tube and stand directly above them and drill a hole through and knock them out. Well, in the plans that we're using, there were no Jeffries tubes through here. So I had to put a Jeffries tube here. And it has to be here. It's seen in the show. It has to be here. So that means the theater is getting slightly compromised, well, redesigned. And in doing that, I needed to be able to connect the Jeffries tubes from the forward part of the ship to the rest of the ship. And that's been taking quite a bit of effort and time. But I think I've done it. So I added a Jeffries tube here. And Holy crap, I guess I still have quite a bit of work to do on this. Oh no, this is the next deck. This is deck 9. So here's deck 8. Anyways, this is deck 9. And come up here to this Jeffries tube, and I added this Jeffries tube through here, and it goes all the way to the side, well, to one of the diagonals of the ship itself, where there was actually in the drawings a Jeffries tube. So I figured, why not connect them together? Anyways, it comes out here, and then it goes to this Jeffries tube, which is the one that's actually in the ship's drawings. Comes back to here, and then this one ended, and there was no other Jeffries tube. So I went ahead and added this one. And it goes all the way back here. And of course, these are ones I've added as well. I think I mentioned them in previous videos. I don't know, maybe I haven't. But there may or may not be another one here going down. But I'm pretty sure we're going to end up mirroring this pattern all the way down to the bottom here. Because again, as you can see, these decks kind of don't correctly line up. But anyways, you enter the Jeffries tube and you work your way up. If I can do it. Come on, get in there. Up to here, and then of course you can hop and skip. I can, because it's me, connect these two. And I most likely will do that when I bring over the updated version from the changes that iPanic did yesterday to this section of the ship. I will make this a connected Jeffries tube right here, and that way this can be closed off, and I can get rid of that little angle right there, clean this up a little bit. But anyways, you come along through here, and again, you go up and to one of the added-in Jeffries tubes along this line to the center of the ship. And from there, you can go pretty much anywhere you want to go. You can go all the way up to the bridge, or if you really wanted to, you go all the way back to the battle bridge, which is where Blue Phobes and I were working on things. And believe it or not, yeah, you'll have to access the battle bridge from the Jeffries tube system off of this core line. If we get down to it here, off of deck 7. Learning a lot about the spacings and stuff. Anyways, this through here, we ran into a problem, and as I mentioned earlier, the hull's slightly different in the drawings. Well, what's happening is, and we realized that going into deck 8 here with the battle bridge. As you can see, it's all outlined here. It's actually, the reason it looks kind of funky here is there's one more block height over on the build than there is here, so the top of this is actually shaved off. But yeah, just basically the Jeffries tube drops down there and goes around over here, and voila, you're in the ship. You're in the battle bridge area. But let's get down over here and you can show you real quick what's happening. The orange is the secondary hull, and it comes up here and meets with the primary hull. Now on the Ed Whitefire plans, right here you can see this is the original ones. There's a corridor that runs right through here. Well, obviously it can't, because that runs into the secondary hull. What's happening is the hull is coming too far forward. Here's the ship separation plane. It is coming too far forward into the primary hull. Well, it doesn't really affect it much here, because again, this is bulk water storage, but we're going to convert it into something like batteries. But that means that this turbo lift path here, or Jeffries tube, whatever that is, has to be moved to go around this. Same thing with this corridor here, had to be moved to go around it. And the further down we get, the closer in line it does become. But it does generate some issues, because again, you know, we've got this, so we've got to deal with. And all this engineering stuff is affected down here. These, I guess, deuterium pods, or whatever they're called, for working with the impulse engines, or deuterium fuel rods, whatever they call them, fusion reactors. Then we have a separation plane, and as you can see, there's the separation plane. This corridor, excuse me, this is actually the primary hull's section, so it should sit right about here, but it's forward and gets a little closer, but I don't think too much closer down through here. It just gets down to right there where it seems to be in line, and again it seems to be in line here, and again here is in line, and down here it's somewhat in line, and so on and so forth. But for a few of these decks, you can see that we have quite a bit of adjusting that will need to be done, which I guess, you know, is what it is. It just means that through here is going to be slightly different, and we'll end up with a lot more room up here than we normally would have had, and I don't know. We'll just sort of kind of have to work with it and see what the plans say and go from there. But it is this is where I when I got to this point I just stopped working, and um, we're gonna I this is something that's going to take a little bit of talking about and how we want to implement this, because if I do the change, it'll just be something that Blue Phobes recommend, which is basically it will follow along the hull edge here instead of going, you know, like it is straight along through here. But there's a lot of stuff that's listed in here on the drawings that will also have to be put in here. But since there's stuff in here, it's going to make a tight fit. So basically anything past this line, it doesn't look like there's anything here, so I don't think it's going to generally affect us, but you never know. I mean, down here it will, because these things are latches, and these latches all have to be moved forward into this section, which I guess really doesn't matter because I have no idea what this is, but it looks like a big orange area, so it means probably engineering or something. But we'll figure it out. Well, let's go over to the D and I'll show you the hangar and all the work that they've done over there. Again, they've been pretty busy with the hangar stuff, and I just mirrored in these computer core sections for Blue. He'd mirrored stuff in, but he was a block or two off or something. It was they weren't properly atoned or aligned, so I figured what the hell, I'll go ahead and just move them in and see if I can do a better job of making sure they're aligned. But you never know, I may have blown it. I haven't double checked it yet, so everything seems to line up, which is important, so I think I got it right. But as you can see, they've been pretty busy with this hangar, Blue Phobes and iPanic. iPanic spent a lot of time working with these Danube class runabouts, and you know, making changes to them as needed for the hull here to work. The lift is in. This is something Blue Phobes was working on with iPanic, and they went ahead and put in the lift mechanism here along this deck, which caused a change on the deck plans. But I had him flip it so that the flat sides or the push sides of the lifts were here instead of these things. And that means we can put a wall along here and it won't affect a lot of it. And when the lift comes down, it'll go over the top of this Jeffries tube, which will have half slabs through here, so it won't even be affected. Theoretically. But yeah, it is what it is. Go back up here to this hangar if we can get up in here. Yep, there we go. As you can see, the detailing on the roof has been pretty busy. They've been working on it. Looks like they've half slabbed this, which is kind of nice looking, actually. That's actually pretty nice coloring. I figured they were going to do something like this, but this works just as well. Yeah, the frog. Well, the mini frog. These are the mini frogs. I don't figure what class they are. These were really designed by iPanic just a couple of days ago. So I think he's pretty proud of them. And they look pretty nice, to be honest with you. They're actually really nice looking shuttles. And come up through here and get yourself a little area. Unfortunately, with all these things, when you mirror it, these all fall off. So you can't get away from it. Panic also discovered that there was an issue. The ship goes from double center down through here where it's only a single center, and again, that was a contouring issue or a scaling issue, not schematic, but symmetrical issue. He found it, and unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do with it. We'll just have to work around it and stuff like that. So, as you can see, all of this is two-centered, but when you get up here, it's not two-centered anymore. Yeah. So that's one of our first major flaws. It's nothing catastrophic, it's just annoying because it throws things off a little bit, but it'll work. Now, there wasn't a door here. Well, there is a door here. It was removed, and now it looks like it's been put back. Yeah, it looks like it's been put back. And this area here kind of got screwed. As you can see, it's not the way it was originally. I don't know what happened here. It looks like somebody tried to fix the contouring, and in doing so, things got fucked up. And this is where I would normally say face fucking palm, but when I saw it, I was on with iPanic, and yeah, I wasn't happy. I'm not happy at all because I actually already copied this back over into the stack, not realizing that some jackass had come through here and totally nerfed this whole section up, and or else I'd just to re-import the section back from the stack to over here. Yeah. Anywho, we've got space above the turbo lifts here that I'm not sure what we're going to use it for, so we just kind of blocked it off. It's just one of those things. Yeah, when you're designing the ship, you know, there are going to be spaces that are going to pop in there that are going to require some think abouts, and this is one of them. I mean, I could run another Jeffries Tube turbo lift through here, or I could carpet the top of this and it'd just be like a little servicing corridor. We don't know yet. We're going to figure it out. But that is also another issue up in the cone here, the coning tower stuff. We have a too high space that we're just going to turn into a conduit area. So Blue and I have already worked it out. Anyway, so the lift here is no longer here. It's a parking bay. The lift has been moved to here, and as you can see with the magenta, things have been changed and altered through here. We have a viewing thing here now. Well, that was always there, but it's there now. Future note for storage in cargo bays, it's this flooring. For anything, I guess I'm using this currently as Jeffries tube flooring, but that'll probably change depending on it's the right block for the Jeffries tube floor, but it's not the right block for cargo bays. This one is. Keep that in mind. I've already adjusted inside of there. Where this was all black, I went ahead and converted it back to this because that's the flooring. It's for cargo bays. And this one here, I guess they're using it as a hangar floor as well. So Jeffries tube's and hangar floor. But here's the lift he worked on last night, and this is all the modification. This will be storage and parking for other runabouts and things like that, or other shuttles. And instead of having this, whatever this was originally, it's now a viewing lounge with a ladder. And what we did here is, since the hydroponics bay is affected, this is a more appropriate size. Although 3-deck tall hydroponics bay kind of throws me. Maybe we'll repurp this upper section here for something else. But we went ahead and ran the corridor like this one here. Whoops, I'm falling. But I can get back up, which is nice. So this was just, you know, open space before, so Blue and I ran corridors through here. And depending on how much room I have on this side after things get mirrored for this gangway here, I may or may not, there's a, as you can see, a turbo lift right here. And what happens is the turbo lift, I think, comes up to here and then goes up like this. Well, that's odd. Fix that. So either it goes down more or it comes over here then goes down. I'm not sure yet. I have to go, we'll know more when it's mirrored. But anyways, I'm going to try and fit a corridor through here if I can. If I can't, I can't. It's just, you know, oh well, what can you do? We'll figure something out for that space. But as I said, I went ahead and mirrored these center sections over for the computer core because Blue wanted to have them for mocking this computer core thing up. And you can tell he's been pretty darn busy with it. Him and whoever, I think somebody might be helping him with it, but I'm not sure. But he added a, I may have messed this up, so you might have to fix this. Sorry about that. The floor anyways in this area. Whoops, sorry. It's like a lift. Basically, it goes up these things and then you come out here. So it's kind of a neat idea, kind of a nice idea. Then we got all of our Jeffries tubes and stuff going through here, and again, if you were coming from the bridge, this is just an open thing, so hey, it's a computer core, check it out. You would go along here, follow this pathing, and this will lead you to the battle bridge, which is kind of neat. It took us about a day and a half to address the sizing and the changes over here, which is something like, again, we anticipated it. So we just come through here. As you can see, this is the transitional plane for the hulls. Not sure why that's there because this is actual hull itself. So it should be this block only. And these would close off and actually be something. think we have another one that goes lengthwise here, but these close off here. And since this is part of the hull, having this block here is kind of a moot point. Because these would close and then push up. Excuse me, they would close and then they would push up to form a barrier right here. Come down through here, and this is if the ship, the secondary hull had to dock with a starbase. This is where the Jeffries tubes would interlock with the starbase's Jeffries tube, and the secondary hull elevator system or lift system would become one with the elevator system, Jeffries system of the starbase. That's a feature a lot of people don't realize that starships have. Anyways, you come into here, and this is a Jeffries tube, of course, and this is the battle bridge. It's a lot bigger than the show. Yeah, well, we're not constrained by budget like they were on the TV show, so we can use the space. We can build bigger sets than they can. Anyways, this one, it gets all mocked up, it'll be pretty nice. I think they're working on it actually over in the secondary hull itself, but it required some creativity through here. Little bathroom area here, conference room, a captain's ready room complete with captain's bathroom, another little bathroom area, some storage through here, probably first aid and weapons and stuff like that for this section of the ship. And the turbo lift on the ship before, it would just come right across the top of the hull, but the hull is actually in the way. So what we did is we raised it, and that's going to come forward, and at some point it'll probably connect with this turbo lift right here, but I don't know yet how I'm going to do that. I have to actually do that in the secondary hull, or once this is mirrored I could probably figure it out, but I don't think it'll be a problem, because if this pattern follows through like I think it does, this will just come up and it'll just come over. The only thing is this deck here will be affected, which is no big deal, so it will work. But what we did is we figured, well, you know what, let's find a way to connect these two together. So we went through here, and this is where it goes around the battle bridge turbo lift, and it comes back through here like so. And then of course it goes around to the other lifts. Now this is just purely something Blue and I added because why not? To be honest with you. We have the space for it. There was nothing else here other than just funky computer core stuff. But look how much extra space we have. Yeah, so we can easily put all the computer core stuff out in here if we wanted to. Heck, we could even run a corridor on one side over here, which is what we're probably going to end up doing, is have a corridor coming along to this section of the ship. This is the Jeffries tube that we ran. It comes through here. And another feature I added, there was no direct gangway between this primary hull and the secondary hull, so I went ahead and added this gangway in. Again, this is part of this is the hull of the secondary or primary hull, and this is the secondary hull. So these latches here, they can be there because this is actually part of the roof. So it looks like somebody get rid of that, it's not needed. But yeah, so that's that. That's pretty much it as far as what's going on with the D build. Again, it's a slow process because we're going to have to go through and make sure all of these are correctly aligned and adjusted because of the issues with the hull and the deck plans not matching up the way we want them to. But it's something we can overcome. Hopefully we can do it. Here's another little thing. Since it's in, I can actually do it here, but there was no way to access these escape pods in the drawings, so what I did is I modified the deck above us. Oops. Modified the deck above us and pushed this corridor through to here so that we can come down into these escape pods here. Beforehand, there was no way to do it, and since this lift kind of gets in the way of this corridor, which would be, if this lift wasn't here, this corridor would extend along through here and then go back up to the top, or back up to the next deck, which I think is a pretty decent idea. Now all of this stuff through here is for the latches and things like that, so it's pretty much whatever it is. And in retrospect, I should have rerouted this turbo lift, but you know, because to me the turbo lift, if I wanted to reroute it, but I don't know, it'd affect these lifts over here, these latches and stuff. I could have probably routed it through here some way, but it's fine the way it is. Anyways, but it kind of goes up and kind of goes around and goes back to just that side of the ship again. One other addition thing I did here, I should mention before I wrap up the video, is this corridor right here wasn't here. I added this whole corridor stuff through here. Again, why not? It was just an area of space that could not be gotten to otherwise, so I just ran the corridor right along here. I've made some changes with Decade as well, with its corridor pathings and things too. I could show you that too, but I'll save that for another video. Anyways, but I added this corridor line through here because, again, why not? Got all these rooms back here that couldn't be accessed, and there's not a lot that could be fit into these things. So, and there's a there's a lift right here, which may or may not go down to the next hall. I don't think it can. Let's see if it can. It does. So, yeah. Since this is the secondary hall, this is going to require some effort. Yeah, it's going to require some effort because obviously this is part of the secondary hall, and if it's also part of a lift, it's going to be one of those challenging things we're just going to have to overcome and fix. Anyways, that's a new problem I hadn't seen before, but yeah, I'll get it sorted out. It's no biggie. What it will probably mean is that this section of the primary hall will just be raised up on the battle bridge. So it'll be like this. And then, of course, the secondary hall will come through here like so. And again, I'll do the same thing with these side runners as well. So I'll have to go over to I'll have to copy this section out, then go over and put it down the secondary hull stack. So yeah, interesting discovery here. Anyways, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch. Again, this is the Minetrek.net game server, and have a great day.